All right, folks, it is Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. And of course, a lot of things are going on in the world and around the world. And of course, we'll be talking about those, including the White House order and government DEI employees to be placed on leave. So Trump rolls back the bedrock civil rights measure in a sweeping anti-DEI push. So he's ordered the paid leave for federal diversity staff and threatens China sanctions as well. So that's one of the things that is going on. And Kunanan Shaman reacts to his January 6th pardon, saying, I regret nothing. And definitely looks like Trump embraced the broad January 6th pardons and was saying to release them all and everything like that. So definitely that's something else going on in the news as well. And Trump plans 10% tariffs on Chinese imports on February 1st. So I know that Nick is a big fan of the Chinese and all along those lines, but it looks like he's going to be buying Chinese items, you might be paying a 10% import, and all along those lines, if I'm remembering correctly, Temu, which is a popular shopping app, is actually out of China, so that might be that there might be 10% tariffs on that as well. I got to do some research on whether Temu is actually a Chinese company or not. But definitely that's something that is going on and will be going on. And Trump delivers fresh tariff threats against both the China and also the EU. So he's considering an EU levy as well. So definitely looks like he's coming after trying to get some money from these other countries in addition. And Prince Harry hails a monumental legal win over the Murdoch newspapers. So he claims a monumental victory after reaching settlement with the Sun publishers. So that's something else that we're seeing as well. And at least 10 Palestinians were killed as Israel launches an operation in Jenin. So Israel army kills 10 Palestinians as West Bank being Gazafied. So IDF tells Palestinians in Jenin hospital to stay inside as it clears suspected bomb. So that's something else that's going on as well. And a cat accidentally left on a plane makes 3 trips between New Zealand and Australia in 24 hours. So Mittens, the cat owners, describes the feline's frequent flyers ordeal. So the cat left on a plane ends up taking 3 flights before reaching its destination. So it is definitely a frequent flyer and all along those lines. And North Korean soldiers in Russia don't retreat despite losses, Ukrainian sergeant is saying. So Trump relationship with North Korea's Kim offers a chance to counter Putin's influence. So North Korea is to send reinforcements to the Kursk region soon, but I guess some folks are thinking that Trump might be able to calm that down some. It says he has a relationship with that particular world leader as well. And the UK warns Putin after Russian spy ship returns to British water. So Royal Navy ships mobilized to respond to the Russian spy ship in North Sea, as that's something else that's going on in the world as well. And rebuilding Gaza will be a massive project. There's no doubt about that. So people are talking about that as well. And at least 76 people killed in a hotel fire at a ski resort in Turkey. So one person even says she jumped out and died. Witnesses recalled the hail of a Turkey hotel fire, and 4 were arrested after the fire at the popular ski resort. So it looks like that might have been an intentional fire as well. And a 2,000-year-old statue was found dumped near garbage cans in Greece. So a 2,000-year-old statue was found abandoned in a garbage bag in Greece. So it looks like that was maybe some vandalism that was going on in that space as well. And China and U.S. partners are moving closer as Trump returns to the White House. So Trump hints at deal making gives China a little breathing room. So Trump wants to whack China with tariffs, as I said, but definitely China sees room to avert the trade war with Donald Trump despite those tariff threats. And Trump's ambassador nominee questions U.S. funding of anti-Semitic UN. So Elise Stefanik pledges to back Trump's vision of a reformed UN. So Trump's UN ambassador pick says Israel has biblical rights to the West Bank. So Stefanik looks back to fiery exchange with college leaders in Senate confirmation hearing and called that a watershed moment. And freed hostage Emily Damaret thanks London's Tottenham Hotspur soccer team and fans as well. So, life after death, Romy Gonen, another one of the released hostages, shares their first post since the release from Gaza. So, definitely folks are trying to get back to normal life. And the Colombians flee to Venezuela as clashes between rebel groups escalate in that particular area. So Colombia scrambles to cope as refugees flee deadly battles between rebel groups, and Colombia is seeking to reassert control as rebel fighting kills over 100 in that area. And as we reported, I believe yesterday, Israel's top general resigns over the October 7th failures, and that's adding pressure on Netanyahu. And Australian police are saying anti Semitic crimes may be funded overseas. So police investigate whether foreign actors are paying for anti Semitic crimes in Australia. And Anthony Albanese may have crumbled on a national cabinet meeting on a anti-Semitism, but it's not an easy fix. So definitely, it looks like a lot of things are going on, even in the area of Australia as well. And Trump 2.0 raises awkward policy questions for Europe, but some lawmakers see real opportunity. So definitely that is something going on as well. So we'll see how this all plays out and what else is going on in that sense. Like I said, a lot of things are going on in the world, including I was reading an article earlier where apparently Trump is also wanting to make things like the shower and the toilet more efficient and all along those lines, because one of the articles I read said that in the last term, he had said that there was not enough flow of water for the way that he likes to keep his hair and all along those lines. So he's definitely targeting that. And I think that was one of the targets of one of his executive orders as well. So we might be seeing higher water bills, but also some more efficiency as well. And if I look outside, I'll see that there's some snow because winter storm dumped snow from Texas to Florida. And yeah, we got some here in North Carolina as well. So definitely that is something that was going on as well. And after California fires, quick rebuild could put homes at risk again. So Los Angeles wildfires spark interest in Adobe natural building materials. So that's definitely something that folks are talking about as well. And a man accidentally shot by Florida police officer with his own gun while frisking. So Florida officer fired after she accidentally shot a driver with his own gun during a traffic stop and all along those lines. And Bishop asked Trump to have mercy, and Hedges faces new accusations. So some folks are asking, who is Marianne Edgar, the bishop who made a plea to Trump? So uh, desperate pastors and conservatives unleash on the Episcopal bishop for weaponizing the pulpit against Trump. And I know that even on MLK Day, I saw that definitely Reverend Barber was also having some harsh words for Trump as well. So definitely we'll see how this all goes out and how the religious and political divide either continues or is actually having different folks that are on different sides that are fighting that battle. So Trump's slew of executive actions involve the WHO, birthright citizenship, and drug prices. So a number of these things are going on, and Trump pardoned Russ Ulbricht, the creator of the Silk Road drug marketplace. So definitely that's something else that people are talking about in the news as well. So like I said, a lot of things are going on in the world and in the news reports and all along those lines. But it'll be quite interesting to see what folks have to say. And I'm going to bring in some of my fellow panelists. Might just be see who's here with me and all along those lines. But definitely Trump is still in the news and all in that kind of way. Trump administration, by the way, cancels travel for refugees already cleared to resettle in the U.S. So definitely that's something else. And that order could put thousands of Afghan allies waiting for U.S. Resettlement in limbo. And Trump's Homeland Security Department okays the immigration raids at schools and churches. So definitely a lot's going on in the world, but I'm going to bring in folks and see what they've got to say about this. I've got Rick Rosner with me, and I've also got Sasha Starr and a number of other folks that think they can deal with it as well. But what's going on in y'all's world and what things are y'all thinking about and everything? It looks like Trump is still doing some interesting executive orders. I did read one where he was talking about, and I guess this had happened last year as well, that he wanted to make your showers more efficient and all along those lines because he likes to keep that perfect hair of his and all along those lines. So he did have an efficiency executive order as well. So I guess we might be seeing some improvement in our showers and toilet flow according to what Trump is going to be doing. So have you heard about this, Rick, and any thoughts on this? Because apparently,
Yeah, well, our house has a mix of low and high flow toilets and showers. Depending on what kind of business we're doing, I'll pick a certain toilet.
It's not controlled by the federal government, so I don't give a rat's for what he says. I mean, he makes executive orders that are against the Constitution, and he just dreams things up. Oh, I'm going to increase water supply. It has nothing to do with it. It's like the roads and schools; they're done at they're administered at the local level. Do have some good news for the Pod TV people. We are back on Twitter. We're back on X. I paid the Musk tribute so that we could broadcast on X, because they don't give you any other choice. If you want to broadcast on them, you got to pay Elon. Remember, he needs the money. He's not doing well financially. He has extremely overvalued stocks. Bill Gates shorted his Tesla to 1,000 times earnings. It's just a matter of when it's going to bust. That's his bad news. His good news, he has access to federal funds, which can bail his little butt out. So, I did find out also he's upgraded his airplane. He's no longer a Gulfstream 650. He has a Gulfstream 700.
so he's upgraded that and everything. So he's got the big fancy plane.
Yeah, he's got a
and
nice,
everything plumbed up.
really a nice private plane to whisk him around on shareholders' money. Now, what I'm very concerned about is this 500 billion investment. Is that an investment or is that another government giveaway?
So I had that same question, and I
poked around. They lie. The people
politicians lie all the time, and
by the way, it's a bipartisan
Democrats. They
thing.
both lie and everything. By the way, this was an article in the Associated Press, the one that I was referring to. But President Donald Trump once expressed concern with how low shower head flow affected his "quote unquote" perfect hair. Now back in the White House, he's again taking aim at some high efficiency household items, and that may mean higher water and electric bills in your home. So one of Trump's several dozen first day executive orders promised to unleash American energy, including a pledge to ease efficiency standards for household appliances and fixtures. So those standards are intended to make dishwashers, shower heads, laundry, and the like use less energy and water. But I guess because he wants perfect hair, he doesn't care about that.
It's ridiculous. Who cares? We run the dishwasher at night. Who cares if it takes 90 minutes or 3 hours? But I have the same question about that 500 billion for AI centers. Is it government money being spent on the centers? Is it private because you've got the biggest companies building centers all over the place, Microsoft, and is it their money they're spending under this term that is Operation Stargate? Is what they're calling it.
That part, that's the whole part. The devil is in the details. I
read several articles. I even asked.
But Congress would have to authorize the funds to be used for this if it came from the U.S. government. If it's private industry doing this, I don't have any problem with it. But
unless because it started under Biden, and so is some of this money from the infrastructure bill? Good point. It could be money that's already available and they're using it as part of the Inflation Reduction Act, which created inflation. So the thing is, it could be Biden money going into it. But the devil's in the details. The media gives us no details. And this is where we have to research and dig to find out, is it really investment? Now, you did say something very interesting thing about TikTok. His goal is to have the American government own half of TikTok. Now, if that's the case, again, I don't have any problem with it. What I really have a problem with is things that are called investments. And they're not. They're you and me and Mark and everybody here, except for Sasha, because he doesn't live here, are paying taxes so that billionaires get richer. So it's not an investment. It's basically so somewhere along the line we got to see, is this real or Memorex when it comes to this $500 billion expense that's taking place. Here's from OpenAI, an AI company that says we will begin deploying $100 billion immediately. Now, that to me implies that it's their money they're spending, but again, it's not clear. It's not clear, and the thing is that's the sad reality. You have to dig through the opaque muck that exists in Washington D.C. See what's true, what's not. But 500 billion is a lot of money. It's like $500 billion, and the real question is where is this money coming from? And maybe we can find some more information about it. Maybe
here's Forbes. Forbes says that this is a joint venture among Oracle, OpenAI, and SoftBank.
Okay, well, maybe Jacoby has dug, because we don't know that he doesn't like Donald, so maybe he's digging some dirt here. Now, if you found some dirt on this, Jacoby, I'm very interested, because I don't want the American government to spend any money on things like AI for billionaires unless we own stock in that company. And remember that China takes stock in these companies. Now, Trump did say, "Hey, he wants America to have 50%."
Well, that's what we did in the bank with the bank failures of 2008, where the U.S. propped up the banks by buying stock in the banks. So the U.S. made some money on that deal.
They did, yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them starting to make some money, because they're usually losers. Now, I know that sometimes Jacoby thinks just go ahead and spend lots of money on government money on AI. It's an investment. Okay, and I don't mind that as long as it's not my money or I get stock in that company. If I get stock in the company, I don't have any problem with it. Okay, but I do mind give away to billionaires for their little play toys that exist. And so far, Rick and I both looked at it. It's opaque. So maybe, Jacoby, you have the truth, or maybe you don't. And you can make it up and spin it in your favor. So whatever you want to do.
So why do you think the richest people in the world were all at the inauguration, sitting in front of Trump's cabinet, not behind Trump's cabinet? Because his cabinet is the actual billionaires. They're the ones telling him what they want and what he wants, what to do. This is, again, while we're in America's first oligarchy. So those billionaires that you're talking about, from the OpenAI, Oracle, all of them. So it's basically 3 companies that are coming together to create the AI infrastructure that is supposed to go across the country. Well, how is that going to help us? That's a good question. We don't know if we do have any investments in the infrastructure itself. It's going to harm us, because right now the investments in the energy technology sector around AI is where the important piece is. And I don't know if that, again, is part of this deal. Are they going to incorporate the energy portion into that? Also, we're in record drought levels. We're still talking about the wildfire in California. You know what's coming? The more AI means more water is going to be utilized, and we're going to have more record droughts coming into play. So don't get me wrong, investing in the future technologies is great, but we don't know the deal. We know that Trump is getting a part of it. We don't know if America is getting a part of it, but we do definitely know Trump is invested in it. So he's going to get paid off of it regardless. Other than that, I mean, it's just hard to say, because, again, we don't know the deal.
I'm in favor of it. I'm in favor of it, that we've got this huge budget deficit, huge national debt, and one way to mitigate it, though not fix it, is to grow our way out of it. But it's and AI is going to be a huge part of it. We're going to move into a computation.
But what does grow your way out of it mean? I mean, here's the way I look at grow your way out of it. Grow your way out of it means this: we create super hyper inflation, okay, so that your dollar is worth less or worthless. So when you go to the bank, you spend $50 billion on a McDonald's hamburger, and then you quote grow your way out of it. I mean, the thing is, I think growing your way out of it is a little bit naive. It implies,
well, you said it's not a complete solution. And yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to keep printing money. The value of the dollar is going to keep going down. A big already, if you use like a DoorDash to deliver a McDonald's lunch, it can run you $20 or more.
So I mean, I agree with growing your way out of it. I understand what you're talking about there, Rick. And it's true. Again, we do need to invest in these future technologies, because those future technologies it's truthful. That's how we're going to grow. The the state highway, the national highway system, or the highways and everything, that helped us grow. This is another avenue to help smaller businesses, to individuals to grow. I get that, and I understand the AI portion. And it is very true what you're talking about, Rick. But it's also very true what Nick is talking about, in the sense that we don't know the deal. We don't know if we're actually getting a piece. We don't know anything about the deal other than the three companies that are coming together to form the infrastructure. But is that infrastructure going to them and Trump? What is America's cut in that? And how does that help? Because, for example, OpenAI is going to actually a for-profit model. They're no longer going to be nonprofit as they have been. So they're now going to for-profit model. They're going to be a part of the stock market, which Sasha then can talk about the investments and so on and so forth around OpenAI, and actually who's purchasing OpenAI, because Apple has invested in them, Microsoft has invested in them, Google has invested in them. So all these individual players are jumping in. But what do we get out of it? Because now we're going to have to pay for OpenAI. Now we're going to have to spend money rather than losing that free service that was there. So how does that help us? How does that help us grow? And I think that's, Rick, again, growing out of it, phenomenal. That's what we need to have happen. Investments in future technologies, phenomenal. But what's the deal? We don't know. It's all behind the scenes, and all we're getting
I assume this was announced yesterday, so maybe we'll get clarity, in the weeks to come, or maybe I don't know. What's Shaquille's going to say about like a $500 billion?
I think because I just got here, I think Sasha should probably speak before I do. He's been there since the beginning of the show.
Well, what I can say is that all what's happening so far, it's a beauty for investors. All stocks are going up. The great stocks, the good stocks, not so good stocks, the garbage stocks, everything is going up. Everything is green. So far, Trump's presidency was nothing but actually celebration for investors. So this situation with this high-tech investments or so on, unless you are investors in high-tech stocks, in the good high-tech stocks, but even not so good, it doesn't really matter these days, you are doing very well. The average American will not benefit from any of it at all. There's no benefits, even theoretical, even if you want to say, oh, well, people will get a little bit of this or that. Nothing. They will not get anything out of it. And in fact, there could be some negative developments coming from all this, because a lot of jobs will be lost and a lot of people will go to unemployment as a result of all these developments. But it doesn't matter. I mean, if people with money, they're getting twice, 3 times whatever they're investing, and some people will go to unemployment. So overall, most people probably will benefit. I think that through pension plans, to like IRA and others, most of the people still will benefit. Maybe not as much as real focused investors who are specializing in investments in the high-tech funds. Even these people will benefit. So this is very dicey situation. Most Americans will not benefit, and actually they will be hurt by all those developments. But some people are going to make a little bit of money.
Yeah, of course they're not going to benefit, Sasha, but here's the reason why. 90% of the assets in the United States are owned by 10% of the population. Now, I'm fortunately in the 10%, so I'm benefiting quite a bit by this market going up. I'm checking all my stocks, and I even bought into, I went and paid the Twitter tribute. So we're broadcasting now on X because I just made a ton of money. And I'm going like, well, what am I going to do with it? I'm going to return some to Elon Musk. And the other reason we went ahead and we're broadcasting now on Twitter is it's going to be around. Let's face it, for a while there, you weren't sure about whether or not Twitter was going to be around. So there was no reason for us to broadcast on something that may not be there. But things have changed now. He bet on Trump. Now he basically owns
people betted on Trump.
Hey, Twitter's going to be around, and we're going to be on Twitter.
Well,
So we're
that's
broadcasting.
Nick, that's what smart business people do. They invest all their money in someone else rather than themselves.
Yeah, you bet on the right horse. I mean, that's
Don't
what you
invest
can't
in
do
your
for
own.
years.
Invest in Elon, who already just got $60 billion grant from Trump to open up another company. Way to go. But anyway, what's interesting is the AI that they're talking about investing in. And, you know, everyone, the FBI has just posted some PSAs about some of the AI and what they're telling people. And this is kind of old news, at least for me, it's very old news, but they're telling people to start getting a, you know, security word that you use among your family, because the bad people of AI, using AI, have learned how to use it to duplicate your family's voices. They know your names. They got it all from your cell phone, not TikTok, I promise you. But they know your family names. They know everything about you, your voices, their voices. They've scanned the faces and bone structures so much that they can replicate a video call as if you're talking to, you know, someone you know or love for a very long time. And the FBI is just now realizing the dangers of this. And they're putting out notices to please get a security word that you use among your family. I would recommend that it's more of a security phrase, so that they can't pick up on it, because Siri hears everything. So make sure you turn Siri and Alexa off before you do that. But, you know, something like one person says one thing and the other person responds with another word. So one word is yours and the other word is theirs in a little phrase. But that's what the FBI is recommending. They have confirmed that the cell phones are more dangerous than TikTok, which I've been saying, you know, iPhones made in China. And if you've got more than one or two lenses on your camera, they're all not necessary, though they convince you they are, but they've been scanning everybody that you've taken pictures of, identifying them and putting them in a database. So just be careful, because AI is becoming dangerous.
I do think
the idea of using a phrase. Sorry, Toby. There's a bit of a delay. I'm on holidays, so there is a delay. So if I speak over someone, I apologise in advance. But you go for it.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't know the delay got me. It's okay. Take it away, because you haven't had a chance to talk.
I was just going to say it's interesting what Kimberly's saying. So you can get kidnapping insurance, especially if you travel to places that are a bit more dangerous. And that's one of the things that they actually tell you to do, is to have a phrase, and you'll often have 2 or 3 different phrases. So there could be a phrase that indicates you actually are in trouble. Another phrase that just, when you say it, like it indicates you're in trouble, but you're safe. And another phrase to like whether everything's okay. But my concern, Kimberly, with what you've just said is, even if you do come up with a word or a phrase, can AI work that out? Because AI technology is just so amazing.
I just said you need to turn off all of your devices when you're coming.
But what I'm saying is, like, could it work out from listening to future calls, like what the phrase is? And that's the real concern with AI, is that it's so powerful. It's going to be hard for us to maintain our human elements and our human qualities because of how powerful AI actually is.
I will say this. I think, getting and protecting yourself is one thing. Being prepared, as I always say, can save you a lot. But the biggest problem isn't us. The biggest problem is when they catch these people, they don't enforce the laws. They don't punish them. And I know this because we've caught many people in the past, and we're catching people right now in a scam that I've been working with the sheriff's department on, a cyber scam, and, getting data for them. And we've got them. We've got the bank accounts. We got everything. In fact, we show that they have scammed many, many people, not just the one person. And, nothing's happening. Nothing. They're not stopping them. I stopped them more than the law enforcement did, because I approached them directly and shut them down for a moment. but I did more than what law enforcement has. And so we're either going to have to take control of it and go punish these people ourselves, or we need to get the law enforcement to enforce the laws against these cyber attacks, which they don't do.
So speaking on the cyber attacks, that is one of the toughest things to do, because it's going to only get tougher based on the way AI works. And honestly, when quantum computing and everything else, because quantum computers, Shaq, you brought up a great point. Computers are going to figure out what your safe word and everything else is, because they've already cracked whatever codes that we put out there. No matter the strength of the code, it can be cracked. So if it's online, it can be hacked, whatever. They actually have conventions with black site hackers and all the other stuff. FBI and all these places hire those people, those individuals that you're talking about, and they get caught. They end up getting jobs because they're the ones who are able to hack others, and they figure out these situations. But AI is only going to get tougher, which I think Sasha brought up a great point when he was talking about the different investments in AI, and especially this giant investment in AI. And I'll always preach it to the cows come home, because again, with AI coming, the more powerful it gets, yes, safety is an issue, but also jobs are huge, because all these AI things are going to begin to replace particular people. So if we don't have a future economy based on future technologies that we can actually transfer and train these people into, then all we're going to have is just computers running everything and a bunch of unemployed people sitting around. And now we're going to have more, and this goes globally and not just in the US. We're just going to have a bunch of people with nothing to do. And when you have nothing to do, what do you think these people are going to get into? They're poor. They don't have any money.
The issue with that, Toby, is that's been brought up with technological advancements, for decades or even centuries. I talk about the printing press, replacing, the old scroll writers, and people talk about how many jobs that costs. I think, my concern, I am concerned about people's livelihoods. I don't want people to be poor and not be able to afford to feed their families and all the rest of it, right? We need to make sure that people have a future. But holding back technology for that reason does seem a little bit concerning. The ports, the strike on the ports that you guys had recently, I get it where the workers are coming from, and workers are often screwed over or feel like they're being screwed over by low pay and high taxes and all the rest of it. But one of the things that the union insisted on was that AI and robotics wouldn't be involved in ports. Well, effectively, that creates a tax on everybody, because you're instead of being more efficient, which arguably would lead to greater efficiency, better prices, people are going to have to pay more for shipping, which ends up costing you more for goods and services as a result of you holding back technology to create jobs. Now, what's the solution to that? I don't know. To be honest with you, like Milton Friedman would say, yeah, go for it. Don't hold back technology. Whereas, other economists will say, hang on a minute, you need to navigate this.
Shatil, I have solution.
I'm just talking about, we've got to be able to transition. We need to find places for these people next.
But we never have tried that before, Jacob. We never cared. Sorry, Sasha.
Here is a solution to that. People have to realize that a lot of high-tech jobs are temporary. They are not going to last forever, not even for long run. So they have to start retooling themselves and try to find employment or future employment, not necessarily today. It may take years until they will find themselves out of jobs. So what is the enduring market? What jobs cannot be transferred to, if not China, to Thailand or some Vietnam or some other jurisdictions? It's a personal care. There are a lot of people in the United States of America getting aged. They will require a lot of personal care. And that industry will flourish. So while you're doing some good high-tech job and waiting until you will be fired, learn something about healthcare, try to find a future employment that industry. Maybe it's, I don't want to focus specifically on this industry. Maybe there are some other outlets. It's just something came to my mind that this is one is a 100% winner, and you will always have employment as long as you want it. And another thing is learn how to invest, because by the time that you will be fired, you will have a little nest egg that you can successfully employ, provided that you have aptitude, you have necessary knowledge and desire to succeed, and maybe you will make even more money than in your job.
All right, two things. One is Sasha's right about elder care. Plus, if you work in elder care, often you get room and board. You get moved into some aging boomer's house, you're there, 18, 24 hours a day, living with them, which is helpful. You can be typing away and doing some computer-based gig while you're watching over somebody who's 82 years old. Thing two is the demographics of AI fraud. If you're going to fraud people, you want to fraud seniors. So we have 60 million seniors in the U.S. Between 10 and 20% of them, between 6 and 12 million of them, have early cognitive decline. That's who you run scams on. And that's what AI scams will be run on. And when you scam a senior, because seniors have all the money in the U.S., the average fraud scheme gets $33,000 from some.
And honestly, everything that ties what we're talking about, this is that transition. This is the piece where we're talking about education. And that's where a lot of the investments in terms of what we need to do to transition people over. When we're talking about an individual in the coal mine, if we got AI now dealing with coal and only running the coal, or even on the shipping, the ports themselves, running manufacturing and all this, that individual that's that hard worker that's sitting there, how do we transition them through education wise into investing? How do we get them to understand that, hey, let's transition you now into senior healthcare, or being able to monitor doing cybersecurity around senior specific stuff. And that's where I'm talking about those transitions, because if we don't build anything in there to say, okay, well, your education is now going to be taken care of about 30-40% of it, so now you're going to be able to jump into another job, because your market is now gone, because we've now invested $500 billion in AI. So if we don't,
I think there's a transition period though, Toby, where when new technology comes in and disrupts an industry, oftentimes the people that are, have been working there for 30 or 40 years are at a point where they might just take early retirement, or they might continue to work in that industry, and they won't be fired as such. It's just that they won't be replaced when they leave the industry. But one of the things that I hear a lot about AI, and you all know I'm a bit of a technophobe, but one of the things I hear a lot about is this concern about job losses. But I think people aren't focusing very much on the positive things. So if I can just use an example for my limited experience, using AI and using some of the tools, as you guys have sort of seen my progression over the last 6 months, where I thought I better check it out, better have a go and see what happens. Using it for data analysis, the way that the way that I need to use it for trading the finance markets has been phenomenal. And what it's allowed me to do is to experiment with stuff that I wouldn't have bothered before. So I couldn't justify employing an investment actuary at the moment, trading on, at the moment, because we're trading our own accounts, with just a bunch of me and business partners that just trade our own accounts, as opposed to what we were doing with running a hedge fund. We wouldn't pay for an actuary now. So the argument would be, well, you're costing actuaries jobs, or you're costing people that are high level in a particular field jobs. What I would say to counter that is, what you're actually allowing people to do is to be able to use technology to create a similar outcome as if they were to employ an actuary. And for $50 a month or $100 a month or whatever, and $5,000 for a laptop, that's a hell of a lot cheaper than if I had to pay $300,000 or $400,000 a year for an actuary. So
I completely agree with what you're saying, because it's that double-edged sword. There's that good, because, for example, in the medical field, AI has made some advancements that we would have never made for another 15, 20 years. I got somebody screaming in the background, but AI, for example, AI has found cancer, breast cancer has been able to identify breast cancers at least 5 years ahead of the actual breast cancer actually even happening. So, I mean, AI is phenomenal. I'm all for AI. But again, being that double-edged sword, I think we have to think about both things, the advancements and how it's going to bring forth, a whole golden new age of things. But also, we've got to figure out a way where we're not leaving those individuals behind, and we have that golden age with this whole bad era of people just, okay, we're going to attack everything. So
I have two recommendations. One is work with the AI. It's every place. You can sign up to just on Claude, for instance, and talk with AI to see what it can do. Or if you're on Twitter, they have Grok, and you can just type in a question and it'll give you an AI response. Even if you just go on Google, often Google will give you an AI response to your question. Also on Grok, you can say, make me a picture of squirrels playing poker. And within 2 seconds, you get 4 pictures to choose from of squirrels playing poker. That's thing one. Thing two is, if you've got an aging parent, get access to their bank accounts so you can watch them. So if you see like crazy crap going on get access to their financial affairs.
In the United States, but in Australia, you can put a limit on, so it can be like you can't withdraw more. I'm just making up a figure. You can't withdraw more than $10,000 at a time, or more than $10,000 within a month without a second signatory. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a family member, because oftentimes young family members take advantage of their older relatives. Sometimes it could be a trustee or a lawyer or something, but there does need to be steps taken, I think. But I do want to just say, because I know Nick will get very disappointed and upset if we don't have at it, Jacoby and Rick. So I'll just start with this. Rick, when you say who cares about dishwashers, we'll just run them at night, that's fine if that's what you want to do. But if I want to run my dishwasher in peak period at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm prepared to pay for the extra energy and water that I'm going to use because my machine is inefficient, I don't need government to come in and say, actually, we're going to prevent you from doing that by having a regulation. Okay, like I'm 41 years old. I don't listen to my parents and haven't done so since I was a teenager. I don't need to listen to government. Like, the government is not there to parent me. The government can go get stuff.
I don't have much of a problem with that. Like, my wife and I, we can't figure out exactly. We're always in trouble with the DWP. We always get letters saying, yeah, you used so much water, you're in tier 3. I don't know where the water is going. And it's like, all right, we're going to pay a little extra for our water, because we do have a little patch of grass in our front yard, and we still have a patch of grass in our backyard. So,
but don't you feel, living in California, don't you feel like, who are these people monitoring how much water I'm using? Just send me the bill, I'll pay it. Like, I honestly, I don't get it. I don't know why people want more government. I just don't get it. And I noticed that now that Trump is the president, the Democrats are now going, oh, well, look at all these billionaires that are benefiting from it, and look at how the government's spending all this money, the billionaires are going to get it. As if what? Democrats were only giving out money to the poor and the middle class. Democrats weren't helping their billionaire friends. Like, it's the same thing. Republicans that sit there and are like, oh, yeah, this is different because, we're giving the money to Elon Musk. No, it's not different. Taxes should not be redistributed to people because of government largesse. That shouldn't be the role of government. And I see here that we've got the LA Fires comment there. I've been saying in my early 20s that California will probably turn red within 20 or 30 years, because these things go in cycles. Given what's happened, I'd be very surprised if California would re-elect Gavin Newsom, although I don't think he's going to run again. And I actually think that California will probably flip at least red at a state level. I think you'll probably end up with another Republican governor like Arnie Schwarzenegger or something like that. because I think there's enough people.
Well, I don't think any governor is going to run again. They'll all be appointed by the king.
But 20 years ago, it was already red because that was when Arnold Schwarzenegger was there. And then even before that.
I'm sorry, I'm saying to Toby, say that again. 20 years ago, it was red because of what?
It was Arnold Schwarzenegger 20 years ago. Then before that, it was a Democrat. Then before that, it was a Republican. So it always alternated.
No, Republican.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think Republicans write it off. Republicans sit there and say California is too liberal; it'll never turn red again. No, it will. But then again, as I said, I think when California turns red, you probably would start to see a place like Texas turn blue.
Well, I mean, it's going to be it just all depends on how frustrated the populace gets. Because again, the populace is going to get mad at one side or the other, and they're going to flip either way.
You'd have to be pretty mad in California at the moment, wouldn't you? With all the fires, you'd have to be pretty pissed off about it, even if it didn't affect you.
Is the condition that they get aid that they have to turn red? Is that the condition?
But I also think
no,
that
not yet.
Is that how it's going to turn red?
I think.
Hey, Ghibli, you're the one that. Ghibli, you're the one that said he's a transactional president. I mean, it seems like a fair deal, doesn't it?
He's a very transactional president. I don't want to see off the AI situation.
Thank God we didn't have that problem when the flood hit Asheville.
I think in LA we are waiting for some investigation. I'm waiting at least to see. We know the wind was a huge factor. We know dryness was a huge factor. There seems to be some mismanagement from the LA Fire Department, but I want to see a forensic accounting of everything that went wrong, and yeah, I want to see some people lose their jobs. Like there's
this is where Rick, when we talk about from an Australian perspective, I say, look, you didn't have any backburning, right, which was something that was supposed to happen, and then you had all of this. Let me finish, Toby. You had all of this woke stuff and these woke priorities
white men can actually do fires.
Now, the reason I mention that is that's what got press coverage. That's what a lot of us saw, even around the world. We saw that and went, why are they? I did ask before I started speaking.
I apologize.
Let me finish.
I apologize, but that's what that means.
So this is what.
Hold on, Zach, what were you saying?
Let's throw that in. Just like you guys complain about people using race as a problem. Woke is not the problem. I was just there. I was just in LA.
I can't talk over the president, can I? I'll be booted if I do.
And I will say this, I flew over LA. I didn't see any shortage of water in any of the reserves when I was flying over. I didn't see, you know what I did hear from, real people that work there is the biggest problem was the fact that when the fires did start spreading, the reason why they didn't pump water out of the hydrants is a very common problem. It didn't have electricity. The water needs electricity to have pressure to pump through the hydrants. And so maybe we can fix that problem in the future as a preventative. But that was one of them. The other one is the houses that did survive had a watering system from the roof down and out into the perimeter of their yards. Not everyone can afford that, but I don't think it's going to be that expensive going in the future. And that's something I think that needs to happen is better, self-preventive systems. But most of these homes, they're very wealthy, came with a subsidy for insurance that the government gave them to cover their houses for years. So I think that I'm not sure what the insurance is going to do, but I know that FEMA will come in and give them all, like across the board, the same amount of money to get started with life. So
as I was saying, I think part of the concern that people have expressed is that the media coverage from, the fire chief and, this and that was about, well, if you're in a burning building, you want somebody who looks like you to come and save you. I think the vast majority of people would say, I don't care what the person looks like, I just want to be saved. Now, whether that was actually the department's priorities or not, I don't know. But that's certainly what the coverage is. And I think that what California is going to find, and an issue that Democrats are going to have in general, is that because that is the image that they have portrayed, people think that they are misprioritizing issues. in the same way that ABC or CBS or somebody at Donald Trump's inauguration made the comment that there was too many white people at the inauguration. There wasn't enough people of color. Like, really? Like, is that, like, do you want some token black people and token people of color in there? I mean, it's to me, it's ridiculous. And I think that that's where Democrats are going to run into a problem. Maybe they're not actually prioritizing it the way that Republicans think they are, or try to show that they are, but that's what it looks like. And image is everything. And I think that their image is tarnished by this woke identity politics.
So your point,
I think the policies are going to strongly segregate the population. I think the policies being set in place, the businesses that are being invested in with $500 billion to AI all of this is intended to segregate very heavily. And I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm usually not, but I could be wrong.
So let me.
I think that segregating to find the population, I think, is something that really came into its own in the Great Recession and Occupy Wall Street. Because what you had was conservatives and you had liberals that were actually upset and pissed off at the banks. They were pissed off at the TARP money. Let me just finish. They were pissed off at the way that money saved the banks for their bad investments while left everybody else to lose their houses and lose their livelihood. And people had a right to be upset by that. And I actually believe that right now, the same economic issues that we're facing goes all the way back to the Great Recession and some of the bad policy decisions that led to the Great Recession. And I think that's a major reason why we still are on economically shaky ground.
Well, I think I'm practicing the new salute, just so I don't get shot.
That wasn't a Nazi salute. That was not a Nazi salute. I know Democrats. Look, I know Democrats will find racism in anything.
I'm doing it. Yeah,
I know Democrats will find some flaw in anything, but you know what? It's not as bad as
they riot and terrorize.
Kim, and just hold on a second. We do have Steve here and everything. The other thing I was going to add is I had not heard anything where they had said that they would not be rescued by a person of color. So wherever you found that quote from, I'd love to see it and everything like that.
I'll send you the video. It was the black lesbian woman who's in the fire department who said that when she's asked whether she has the strength to pick up a man, or to pick up a woman's husband, she goes, well, your husband got himself into the wrong position, wrong place. So and people want to be rescued by people and have emergency responders that look like them, right? So look, maybe I don't know. Maybe blacks in America are really fragile compared to everybody else in the world and have to put up with a similar experience. Maybe you guys need some
it could have been a misquote, as you said. There are several misquotes that are put out there by different sources, so I'd have to know where the source was and everything like that.
But how come you didn't call out Kimberly on her quote about the Nazi salute that Elon Musk was accused of doing twice?
I did
call her. Heart to Trump.
Yeah. You want to call me out? I can show you. But the ADL, Kimberly, the Jewish land ADL came to Elon Musk's defense, and they don't even like him. What does that say?
No, I know. They said it's from the heart.
AfD in Germany. AfD in Germany has neo-Nazi ties.
From my heart.
So please don't try and
let me get this straight. Let me just make sure I understand this. So those of you that sit there and support the people that carry on about from the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free, and kill all the Jews and gas all the Jews, you people are now saying that you're upset about this alleged Nazi salute? Wow, that says volumes, doesn't it?
Nazi salute. You don't listen very well. You make a lot of accusations of things that you don't know.
You're not trying to show us that was the Nazi salute, Kimberly. You're now a Republican friend of Elon Musk.
Yeah, I'm not a Republican. I'm just learning to protect myself. Hey, you know what? Everyone go out and buy guns because the Patriots are, and that is Trump's new private army.
Oh no! The Patriots, the Republican voters, all those Nazis, they're all going to run around America. How will you ever survive?
Okay.
Oh my goodness,
What's the
this is
first thing
terrible.
they're going to do? Buy guns?
Hold on a second. Hold on, Toby. Steve's here, so we definitely got to get Steve's comments and everything because that's what I was trying to get to earlier. So we can back off just for a second, just so we can hear what Steve's got on his mind. So, Steve.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was late, everybody. I had some weather-related stuff I'm dealing with and getting my county commission off the ground. Real quickly, I just wanted to just tell everyone it's been a really eventful week. I'll try to come on next week. I got tied up today, but I think the main thing is Trump's pardons, which he said he was going to do. Biden's pardons, controversial. I think the immigration stuff is hitting pretty hard, so we're going to be focusing in on that. And I think the foreign policy stuff, looks like a deal in Ukraine, possibly in the works. We don't know. Israel, Trump 2.0 is here. And as I tell Democrats, he's won the presidency and they need to come up with a better strategy now of what they're going to do to win back seats in the House and the Senate and win back the presidency. But right now, for Democrats, it's not looking good. I think that the party has gone too far to the left. I think it's really, they've got to get back on message. They've got to start shopping around for candidates to win the White House. Not to be a negative Nelly, but we need a new playbook.
Oh no, it's all positive, Steve. I'm loving what you're saying.
Yeah, I just think it's.
Hold on a second, Steve.
Democrats will have more than enough time. 4 years of Trump and 12.
Well, they got, but
there's 12 years that they can figure out what to do, how to do, what to say, and so on. And they can get actually realistically a presidency back in 12 years. 12 years, okay, it's, time flies very fast.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's my prediction. I think you're going to have, I think you're going to have 4 more years of Trump. I think Vance will be the next president of the United States, assuming the economy gets a little bit better, foreign policy. So it'll be like Reagan/Bush. And then I think after 12 years, the Democrats have a chance. Not to be a negative Nelly, but, unless something really significantly changes, unless they're able to get back on message. But,
if it will be more than 12 years, then Democrats may groom their children, and in some cases grandchildren, to fight for the White House.
Well, in fact, the Democrats generally are pretty good at grooming children, aren't they?
So until
that was a very rude comment, Shaq. That's very, very, very rude.
You know what, Kimberly? You know what? When those sorts of things are made, when those sorts of comments are made to Republicans, when those sorts of comments are made about me, I fire back sometimes.
I also make a comment that kind of comment is rude, and I think it needs to be apologized.
I'm not going to apologize for it because I've never had an apology from you guys for some of the hateful things you've said to me. So you know what? You just should take it back.
Let me speak real quick then.
That's very rude, though.
What Steve said about
I'm not apologizing.
They riot.
I'm not going to apologize for the nastiness that comes from Democrats and from Democrat panelists on this show. I'm not going to apologize for it at all. And the Democrats are talking about puberty blockers and screwing up the kids in a way that they can't recover from, in ways that they're going to become infertile. If you find it rude that I've made that comment, well,
let me speak, please.
Let me
speak real quick. Okay, because Shaq, you started off with a bunch of stuff. Steve, you said a few things here as well. What, Steve, I'll start with you. When you said, I disagree that Vance will be the next president because I see, because as I have said, things are going to get worse because Trump is actually doing a lot of the things that he said he was going to do. The problem is, and Steve,
a politician actually feels his promises.
Shut up. Thank
That's
you.
Terrible.
Can we please put Shaq on mute so I can speak? He has spoke over top of me the last 12 minutes, and I've just been trying to respond to him. So, again, Steve, what you said, I don't think Vance will be the next president due to a lot of things that are coming based on what Trump said and what he has actually done, because a lot of the things that are bad. How you started out, again, was the messaging. That's where the problem is with the Democrat Party, which I completely agree with. The problem is you fell into the same trap because when you said the pardons that Trump did and then you went on and said, then Biden did his pardons and they were terrible. So you didn't associate the terrible with Trump, you associated it with Biden. That's where we fall into the trap in terms of the messaging, because that is exactly what happens. Because, for example, just yesterday on one of the news networks, it was probably CNN, with one of the gentlemen who was trying to defend Trump's actual releasing and pardons, they asked him if what Trump did made the country more secure by pardoning these individuals that attacked police officers and so on and so forth. He kept pushing back, saying it did. And that's actually the way that the Republican Party gets their messaging through.
At least Trump went to the election saying that.
Shut up.
Nobody can hear what he said. I don't really care.